I'm excited to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Mr. Clint Hertl. Clint has spent 45 seasons in professional baseball, where he has won a total of 1,269 games as a manager between the Colorado Rockies and the Pittsburgh Pirates. These wins rank 38th all-time in Major League Baseball managerial history. Clint's passion is to make a difference in the communities and lives of others he and his family have been a part of. Through his time and charity, Clint has supported many causes, including his work as the national spokesperson for PWSA USA. Clint currently resides in Florida with his wife, Carla, and is the proud father of 3 children, Ashley, Madison, who has Prader-Willi syndrome, and Christian. We are honored and excited to hear Clint's message today. Please help me welcome Clint Hertl.
Good morning. Thank you, Paige. Thank you very much for the introduction. It is a pleasure and an honor to be with you all today. I'm very thankful to be a part of this community. Our family is very thankful and grateful for the many people that have reached out to us over the 18 years that we've traveled this path with Madison, and with so many of you providing insight, experience, strength, and hope along the way. This is not easy. However, it is rewarding. I used to tell my ball clubs at the beginning of spring training every year, this won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. And I feel with all my heart that the journey we're on with Madison 18 years in, it hasn't been easy, but it has been worth it. Not only has it been worth it for our family and for Madison, but it's worth it because we are paving a trail for many of you that have younger children. So my first disclaimer this morning, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a counselor. I hope to provide some wise counsel. There's many of you out there today that have many more years of experience with Prader-Willi syndrome than we do, or than I do. There's many of you that may have less. That being said, we do have an 18-year-old teenager, and in her mind, many days, a young adult in our house. Madison graduated the 3rd of June, diagnosed with Prader-Willi syndrome in between her 2nd and 3rd week after birth. There's been many fingerprints on success for Madison. The fact that she graduated, the fact she's engaged in a couple small opportunities to work at a salon on the island we live on, and then at a pet boutique on the island we live on. She has an affinity for dogs and animals. She loves music. She loves being in everybody's business. Can anybody out there relate to that? She is kind of trapped at times in a 12-year-old mind, even though she's 18. And many of you have already walked through the challenges that can present. Madison's surrounded and supported by Carla, my wife, who've been married 21 years. Ashley, my oldest daughter, who lives in Plano, Texas. Christian, her 16-year-old brother. My wife is an incredible advocate and supporter of Madison. She has been from birth. She's fought many fights on her own while I've been away. And she continues to be the first caregiver for Madison. We have another family member that we've taken on the last 10 years, Alex Ritz. Alex, we picked her up as a nanny in our stay at Pittsburgh, and Alex has become much more than that. We're very fortunate to be shown the favor we've been shown to have different options and benefits available that many don't have. And we don't take that lightly. We're well aware of that. It's one of the reasons we try and share our favor in many different ways, not just to the Prader-Willi syndrome community, but many other nonprofits and outreach programs for those less underserved and with challenges. Madison was diagnosed, as I said, 3 weeks in. The FISH test caught it. It was the 13th test that she had been put underneath in the first couple of weeks of birth. And we had gotten to the point as parents, we were tired. We were worn out. We were angry. However, we had a doctor that was none of those, was curious, was relentless, cared about getting the diagnosis right. And she continued to push. Dr. Zarlingo at Swedish Medical in Denver. And about the time she said, we're going to take one more test, we almost want to throw our hands up and say, no, we've had enough. We need a break. Everybody needs a break. Madison needs a break. She said, one more. We're going to test for something, as I'll get into. Prader what? Well, they tested for Prader-Willi syndrome, and Madison aced that test. So pretty much sometime around the third week of birth, we were aware that we had a challenge in front of us. And I can remember the call I got where Carlos said, I need to meet you at the hospital and we need to go see the doctor, get results of the test. It was almost surreal, like a movie. We walked through a hallway. We walked to a sterile room. We sat down and Dr. Zalingo informed us of the diagnosis. And again, Prader, what? I've never heard of this. I have no clue about this. I don't get it. Never known anybody to have it. And she slowly educated us to the best of our ability to listen at that time, because I think one of the things I do revert back to is I don't know how much I heard. My world stopped. And in conversation with Carla, her world stopped. We heard what we were capable of hearing at that day. And as time would go on, we got some great counsel from a lot of different people, some of them within the Prader-Willi community. Jan Lee Heineman was a first go-to. Great counsel, wise counsel. Lynette and Gary Hostler in Denver, very good counsel. They had a daughter that had gone before us, and Jen that had been a Prader-Willi trailblazer. And they gave us a lot of encouragement. Stephen Lightman, his wife, and Michelle had a granddaughter. So there was people we reached out to slowly, and we were told to stay off the internet and talk to people that had walked the walk and that had kids, and not just sterile information on the internet that may be accurate, may not be accurate. Well, as times evolved, that wasn't the only diagnosis we got about Maddie, and many of you know that there's multiple diagnoses can come to our kids. She also went through a bout of Kawasaki Syndrome, which was quite alarming. Where we actually had to she had to have the blood taken out of her body, spun, recycled, and put back in. And it's a very unique diagnosis. I had some conversation just a couple of weeks ago with Jim Kane about it. She also went through grand mal seizures. And for any of you, those out there that have gone through those, you only need to see one and you've seen enough. And it's hard to work through. They become lab experiments, add, subtract dosages, more or less. And then finally we got to a place after about a year and a half where everything subsided. Types of therapy that we encountered along the way, we had occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, equine therapy, another favor that we could provide for Maddie that a lot can't, but maybe you can. It's something to look into. Sometimes you don't have to join a club or get a trainer. Sometimes you may know people that have horses. The horses may be able to facilitate that need. The one that Maddie gravitated to immediately was Aqua Therapy. Maddie found a freedom in the water that carried her, I want to say, through about 2010 or 11, 9-10 years. A pool was an oasis for Maddie. It was a freedom. It was a space of comfort, enjoy. And I think it was the fact that she didn't have to be challenged with her gross motor movements. She wasn't challenged with balance. Maddie did not walk till she was 19 months. She did not run till she was 4 years old. We put her in water. She started swimming right away. That freedom that came from the water. It put a joy on her face and in her heart, which put a joy on her mom's face, her dad's face, everybody's face. Because as all of you out there know, when our children have a good day, we all have a good day. when our children have a hard day, we all have a hard day. It's still amazing to me that think that, you know, it can be from 1 to 12,000 to 15,000 kids are diagnosed with this syndrome. And we all have different strains of it, different degrees of it. You know, there were times when in our community, it looked like Maddie may be towards the top of the list, maybe more advanced in some areas, cognitively, behaviorally. Things change as she got older. We went through a period and talking with some other parents, they experienced the same thing, that late adolescent, maybe 15 to 17, I think that's when Maddie went through her terrible twos. It was hard. And I only have an idea on how half hard it was, because since I've known Carla, that's been 28 years, I've pretty much been out of the house 2 weeks out of every month. Since I've been out, out of baseball, I've been home every day. So that's a brief introduction. What we're dealing with, we need to connect. We need to lock arms. We need to share stories. We need to be that community that supports one another, that we can cry with, we can laugh with, we can have fun with. Your local chapter is so important. The National Outreach Center, Family Outreach Center, is so important. There's been a lot of people that have blessed us along the way. That's a long introduction, but basically we want to get to the story. And when Janilee asked me to do this, I just tried to put on my thinking cap. I never worked as a manager. Many of you know that. Everybody could do my job better than me when I was a manager. But we wanted to come up with a topic we thought would be relevant, that everybody could identify with, and that many of you have already walked through. Many of you are right where we are, and many of you are heading towards teenage, adolescent years. Some of you got babies. But basically, ready or not, here I come. That was the topic. That was the liner, the headliner we wanted to pick, because that's what the kids are telling us. Ready or not, you're getting me. And me is going to be different than what you were expecting. And I really believe that one of the most important factors for us as a family, as we embrace the journey we're about to embark on for life, the yellow brick road, and it's filled with mud puddles, and it's filled, there's the time the car is going to break down on the side of the road and the GPS isn't going to work, and you're going to call AAA and they're not going to answer, and you just got to figure stuff out on your own. But when you're on that road, I had to realize right away, this was not about me. And for a man, that could be a challenging aspect. I'm going to get into this more in my second session, the dad's only session. And it wasn't about Carla. And I can't understand what a woman feels that births a child with a birth defect. You carry them, you love them, and then you get the child, because what does everybody say when they're pregnant? When your wife's walking around pregnant and they ask you, what do you want? What's your answer? Anybody out there? You're thinking it right now. We don't care as long as it's healthy. Well, to everybody that's pretty much listened to that, we got one that wasn't as healthy as we wanted it to be. What do you do to that? You can't give it back. No thanks. Can we do it over? Got to figure it out. So I was there when Maddie was born. Carla kept it a secret for me the entire time. At my age, I was looking forward to surprises. And she asked me if I wanted to know, boy or girl, and I said, I don't want to know. Surprise me. Well, Carla and God did. And I can remember when Maddie was born and the baby was handed to me, Carla said, does it look like a Maddie? Does she look like a Maddie? Not it. Does she look like a Maddie? I said, she sure does. And she looks like a Madison Riley, was the name we had talked about earlier. I said, it fits her like a glove. I can remember the first blink of an eye. And as I'm going to share with you, there's 3 questions we're going to talk about today. 3 questions that I think play for our kids, and I think our kids have for us on their journeys. And I believe the sooner we can answer these 3 questions for our kids, our young adults, our older adults, the better off we'll all be served to help them on their journey. and to give them an opportunity to have the most level playing field that they can. The first blink of an eye, Maddie, to me, I can feel it like, can I trust you, Dad? You have no idea what you just got, but can I trust you? Are you going to take care of me? Are you guys going to love me? You guys going to want me? Are you guys going to support me? Oh, it's going to be so hard, Dad. There's going to be days that you're probably going to wish you didn't sign up for it. But I hope you don't quit. I hope you don't walk away. I hope you don't leave. Mom's going to need your help because you already got a job that's brutal with travel. So can I trust you? How do we earn trust? It's one of the lifelong questions that we experience with any child in any relationship, professionally, personally. I believe we earn trust with a child by modeling the behavior we'd like to instill in them. We've spent numerous counseling sessions that I'll get into later. We've sought support, we've sought therapy, we've outsourced, we've outreached where we can. We've talked to many multiple families and parents on how to work through challenging times. But I think we earn trust from these kids. I know when Maddie was young that we kept showing up every day. And we showed up with a clean face, with open ears, and with a smile, as hard as it got. And one thing Carla and I used to be really good at, we still are, is, there may be a day where I don't have the smile, I don't have the clean face, and Carla would pick up, she'd step up that day. Or there may be a time Carla's just worn out. I've been gone, she's been taking care of everything. I come home, it's a hard day, and she needs to tap out, but she can't. I need to find a way to give her a break. I need to step in the gap. I need to be there for her. Our children see things still. They might not feel them the same way we feel them, but they see. They're visual, and they can feel, as I've been told through counseling sessions with Dr. Garash over and over again, tone and body language, they read like a book. Tone of your voice and your body language. So early on, we would try and earn trust by soft speaking, smiling, soft touches, hugs. Just as important that the child sees me hug her mom. And I know not everybody's in a relationship where there's two parents. I get that. Do the best you can with what you got, with where you are. I'm just telling you that it's our experience. The kids see love. They feel love. They understand tone. They know when you're mad. And they know when you're trying to help. Your presentation and your timing means everything to them. How you present, what you present, and when you do it. And that pretty much makes sense for the rest of your life as an adult. The way you make a presentation, the timing of your presentation. We earn trust by showing up, by being responsible, being dependable, being available, being an advocate, not taking no for an answer. How do we build trust? It goes back to that consistency of effort. It goes back to that fact that we are going to hunt the good stuff for them. We're going to hunt the good stuff for us. We're going to find ways to take a break, to share responsibilities, to give mom a few hours here and there of recluse, of time away where dad can step in and provide. If you have an older sibling, they can help provide some support and some time and some activity time. One of the best pieces of advice we got early on was just listen to them. They're going to tell you what they need when they need it. They're going to tell you their story just like any kid. You just sometimes got to find different ways to hear it and be willing to hear it in different ways. It's not easy. To think you can do it all by yourself or all alone, I can't imagine how hard that would be. They want our trust. They need our trust. We earn their trust. We build their trust over time. And understand also that, as we all know, that building trust can take a long time to do, and we can lose it in a snap of fingers. Can lose it in an isolated incident. You all know how many times you've been pushed to the brink and probably stepped over that threshold. I have. Again, that disclaimer I gave you early, I'm not a lot of things. I'm not a perfect parent. I've had my set of challenges, and I've only been at the house half the time. I cannot imagine the challenges my wife said. I've got to watch from a better seat the last 20 months since I've been home, pretty much every day. The incredible job my wife does, the incredible job our son does, and how important it is for us to earn the trust of that sibling, knowing that their brother can be an advocate. Their brother doesn't have to be an adversary. There's days still when Maddie seems to think that Christian is her adversary. The real part of it is she's seen a young boy that she knows she's a couple years older than blow by her in so many different areas, socially, physically, mentally, educationally. And you don't think that would frustrate you or me? It frustrates them. Hurt people hurt people. When Maddie gets hurt, she finds a way to hurt. We got to try to find a way to soothe, to bandage, to make the boo-boo go away, to make the hurt stop. We keep trust. We keep trust by, I believe, it's the same set of rules at the house. And I can raise my hand again. I was an enabler at times. I was the one that was less than. I was the one that either wasn't paying enough attention to the rules to know the rules, or in a moment of weakness, I would just want it to stop. And, I never threw her a jelly donut, but I would find ways to make it stop that enabled. I was that guy. And I came to learn over time that every time I lowered the bar for everybody in the house. Not good. Horrible, as a matter of fact. So, can I trust you is the first question. We got to earn it. We got to build it. We got to keep it. Transparency and honesty. Maddie understands transparency. She understands honesty to degrees. But she has learned, she knows when she does wrong, and she has a conscience. We've had many crying times where Maddie just says, I don't know why I do what I do. I'm trying to stop it, and it's hard. Where do you go with that? So we love her unconditionally. And sometimes loving her unconditionally is not saying yes, and sticking to the rules, and having discipline, and having boundaries, and establishing guardrails in the family, that when there are violations and things haven't been done, there are penalties. And with any teenager, I believe, the best, most hurtful penalty is to take away the phone. And we walk through that pretty much multiple times a week with Maddie. Transparency and honesty between the parents. They feel it, the other kids see it. And that's the other thing you got to remember in your relationship or in your home. If there are other children, they're watching every move you make in your course of action with the child with Prader-Willi syndrome. They're watching how you work through challenges. They're watching how you handle punishment or, behavioral issues. We call it verbal vomiting. Maddie can verbally vomit on anybody. And she can bully you verbally. There's days she can't tie her twos, but she can win a debate. A few days ago, we had one of those. It's amazing. Transparency and honesty within the relationship. If you're not feeling, if something's bothering you, share it with your wife. If something's bothering her, hopefully she shares it with you. If something bothering the child, Christian, for example, we try and get the truth out of him sometimes. That's why we opted for family counseling. I'm a big advocate. If you can afford it and you can do it, we go in as a family. We go in as mom. We go in as dad. Christian goes in solo. Our nanny, Alex, goes in solo. And then we go in as a group. because there are things that Christian will tell Dr. Garash that he never told us. Not that she'd violate the client doctor privilege, and things that we needed to know, she would let us know. Things that we didn't need to know, she was that sounding board for Christian to help him. And there's been other advocacy programs we've picked up for Christian because it's real. I do believe that they also want us to help with their transformation, not their transactions. I mean, transformational leadership versus transactional leadership. And you guys are leaders, you're in your home. We'd watch videos on food consumption. I had to learn what the role was of food, to count calories. I needed to be on board with Carlo when I had Maddie and we were running errands on what we could do, what we weren't going to do. So I wasn't the weekend father, the happy hour father, the father that I had been going through my first divorce and raising another child without Prader-Willi syndrome, but getting a child on weekends. And it's always fun and games. I needed to make sure that Maddie knew that it's like we would share in our baseball organization. If you went from single A to double A, you made a move up. It's not like you're going to a new team. You were within the organization, same structure, same guidelines, roles and responsibilities. So they didn't feel like they had to learn a bunch of new stuff. There can be two sets of rules for two parents. And I had to find a way to become more transformational and be support of my wife and the family decisions we had made on behalf of Maddie than to be a rogue weekend guy, that I'm the happy guy. Uncle Buck, remember that movie? Hey, Uncle Buck's here. Maddie, come on, here we go. Who'll know? Well, as I found out the hard way, some of those times I would enable, Maddie would tell Mom. She'd tell Carla. And then I would feel, there's only, in my own man mind, how can she do that to me? I wouldn't acknowledge the fact I was wrong. I would just look at like I'd been violated. How could you do that, Maddie? I was trying to, hey, little treat, little something. Brutal. Wrong. I can tell you a lot of wrong things they did. I think that's what hopefully is bringing a human element to this share this morning, that we're all on the same page. We're all in it together. We've all made mistakes. We're all learning. We also talked about don't be the oh no parent. And sometimes one parent can set the other parent up to be the oh no parent. And sometimes a parent can become the oh no parent because that's what they choose to do. And if you don't know what I mean by oh no, maybe you can relate to this. If you played any sports at any time, and you ever had a coach that as soon as they started walking your way, you drop your head and go, oh no, here comes Coach Duncan. Oh no. Fake name, Coach Duncan. Dorothy Duncan was my 6th grade English teacher, and I loved her to death. Loved her to death. But that's the name that popped in my head. I was not going to rat out one of the coaches that I used to drop my head when he came my way. Don't be the oh no parent. They're looking for support. They're looking for answers. They're looking for something. However, if they know they're not getting it, when you walk their way, they'll drop their head and go, oh, no, here comes Dad. This is going to be brutal. And you can't be the person that puts the other parent where they're the bad cop all the time and you're the good cop. I used to think when Maddie was in a room by herself and I'd walk in, I wonder, what did she see when I walked towards her? And I used to hold on to that thought. I've held on to it till today. In the morning when she comes down the steps, the first time I see her, it's always, good morning, Maddie. I've got a nickname for her. It's Moon Pie. Basically, I'm the only one that calls her Moon Pie. That's a daddy-daughter thing. I'll say, good morning, Moon Pie. How are we today? I'm just thinking, what does she see? Does she see a man over there that's trying, that loves her, that's going to provide for her, that's going to protect her, that she feels safe around? Or does she see an obstacle course that she's going to have to deal with the rest of the day and try and manipulate? Because Lord knows whatever she lost in her 15th chromosome, as far as satiation, she picked up in the ability to wrap her daddy around her finger. She got that gene and then some. What do our kids see when we walk in the room? What do they see when they're 13 and they're trying to figure things out? Maddie's 18, just graduated. The last couple of years, I never knew that when I retired, I was going to sign up for online teaching. I taught Maddie English. Then a few other courses Christian. I had 2 kids at home. I became a school teacher. And I just kind of wondered when we would embark on that journey. You know, we read books together. The longest one was Huckleberry Finn. We read together. It was part of our English challenge that summer. What did she see me as when I was her teacher? What did she see me as when I was her father? Did it all just run together? Was I able to provide stability and reassurance? And sometimes you don't know. They don't give you accurate answers. And then sometimes they do when you least expect it. I just know for me, I know not only is Maddie watching, but somebody else is watching. I believe that with all my heart. I have a faith particle that's real in my life. And I do know that there is something else that's true that I've always wondered about. Women do have eyes in the back of their head. There's things I'll say or gestures I'll make, and Carla's on the other side of the room, and then she'll go, oh, what was that about? Or something. She's not snooping. She has a crazy, cool ability to help me. And sometimes I think she's picking at me. She's not. She's helping me because of that gene that she's got to nurture. And she says it often. She's raising a 16-year-old. She's raising an 18-year-old, and she's got me. 63 going on 12 some days, maybe 63 going on 21. Maybe I'm acting my age. The oh no coach. Don't be the oh no coach. First question, can I trust you? Second question, Maddie's got for me. Do you care about me, Dad? Mom, do you care about me? Are you disappointed? Are you sad? We're going to feel those feelings. Emotions are human. How we handle them is what creates separation, is what creates some joy, what creates more hard. I really think what we hunt, we get more of. And what we focus on, we get more of. And when we focus on love and we focus on support, we get more of that. When we focus on anger, when we focus on jealousy, when we focus on why. Whenever I think I have a question for Maddie or God, I think I get more questions. There's things I need to trust. There's people I need to trust. And I found that I need to trust people outside myself. The best blessing we have gotten as a family is we understand that we need others to help us with Maddie. And they do it not because Maddie's daddy was the manager of the Rockies or Maddie's daddy was the manager of the Pirates. They do it because they love Maddie. They love special needs kids. It's where their heartbeat comes from. It's their why of their life. It's been so cool to be on that journey. And Maddie's blessed us with that because if Maddie doesn't have special needs, we're not in the community we're in right now. We have met so many incredibly fantastic, loving, wonderful people that are our friends now. They're not just our friends because of Prader-Willi syndrome. That's how we connected. They are our friends now because we love them, they love us. We support them, they support us. And not all things Prader-Willi. Do you care about me? Do you care about me personally? You know, time and space. The more time we invest, the spaces we can provide them with, the options that we can provide for them. One lesson we took upon ourselves to make sure we were steadfast with early on, we weren't going to tell Maddie what she couldn't do, other than if you stick your hand in the fire. But we weren't going to set things that we didn't feel she could do. So we're going to say no. We're going to say, you know what? I don't know if she can do it. If we know she can do it, we're going to give her a chance to do it. We've become amazed over the years at the things she's done. And some things she didn't do. And you know what? She'd be the first one that knew that she couldn't do them. And there was usually an exit stage left. She's in a dance class now. She loves to show up weekly and dance. Like I said, she's working part-time. She loves puzzles. She loves games. There's not many nights where we don't watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. We've fallen into a Heartland trap now, so we don't watch much TV other than Heartland right now. We're not big TV people. Books, we read a lot. Maddie reads a lot. We give her options, personal options for development and growth, but we don't eliminate things until we've given her a chance to try and see if they fit. Academically, whatever it is, we've given her a shot. We've been blessed with an aide. One of the reasons we stayed in the public school system versus the private. And there were we did private school early on, we did public later, and we stayed with it. It wasn't because the aide was state supported, because the aide gave her another person to learn from, another person to watch model behavior with, another person that cared about her because that was her job, that's what she loved to do. And we've had 3 or 4 different aides over the years. All have shown up, been accountable, been responsible, and have played a role in Maddie's development. Maddie has driven her brother crazy with the number of honor roll certificates and bumper stickers we've gotten over the years. Maddie gets straight A's. Yes, they're graded on a curve. Yes, they've established some wiggle room for her in her classes. Yes, they have taken away and curtailed homework assignments, because as we all know, Maddie is the type of kid that she would bring home homework, and when she had finished it, she'd erase it all so she could do it again. And, we'd share with other families that, well, Maddie loves school and homework, and it's Maddie. Oh, no, that's great. The one thing I had to get out of first was having conversations about child parenting with families that didn't have Prader-Willi kids, when they would try and share information on your Prader-Willi child. Well, that's okay. I mean, everybody's hungry. No, I'm hungry. You don't get it. For me, it was like going to an AA meeting. Many of you may know, many of you don't know, I'm a recovering alcoholic. We got that in our family dynamic. 22 years sober. But I know when I go into an AA meeting and I can share a story or listen to a story, and I can hear somebody's pain, angst, or joy, it's a safe place, it's a safe space. And I know what they mean, and I know what they feel. And I feel I get that within our community. It's the only place I can get it, because unless you got a special needs child, you don't know. You don't know the challenges academic this child goes through. But we had to develop boundaries, and we had to struggle and challenge teachers on amount of homework, the way they were doing things that just knew it didn't work for Maddie. And the aide was a support and an advocate as well, and that helped immensely. Can I trust you? Do you care about me? One of the things we've done at our house over the years with my wife, with Maddie, with Christian, myself, is we do what we call 3 up, 3 down. I like to keep things in 3. Dr. Grosh has told us Maddie works best with things in 3. Most of our kids work better in small, focused attention spans. In the morning, we give her 3 things to do. In the afternoon, we give her 3 things to do. And then at night, there's 3 things to do. But we would do a 3 up, 3 down at home. Sometimes it was 3, sometimes it was 2, sometimes it was 1. We would share things that we're doing well and things we weren't doing well. And to get that feedback from Maddie on things she thought we were doing well, it was important. Gave her some ownership, empowered her a little bit. With Christian, the one thing I encourage, if there's other kids involved, you got to find time for those kids. The family dynamic can't just revolve around the Prader-Willi child. Christian has found some independence. He's found his own way. He wants and needs encouragement. He needs to know we can trust him. He can trust us. He needs to know we care about him. He needs to know we can help him get better. We got to provide time and space, both of us together as a family. But the 3 up, 3 down, and that was just as refreshing for me to hear my wife. What 3 things I've done well at home these last 10 days? 3 things I haven't done well. Communication. That way it doesn't turn into 12 that get unloaded in a 11 o'clock argument at night when I come back off the road. Because I haven't paid attention, or I haven't responded, or she's letting me know what I need to do better, that I'm home the next 10 days, or where the family dynamic is. But there has to be constant communication, clear, clean, and accurate communication for our kids. And we found basically a Mount Rushmore group of people that we could go to at any time about anything and share. And again, those daily touches, those daily pings for Maddie, just to know that we are here. We do hear you. We know you want to sit at the big table. Here's what you need to do to work your way to the big table. Here's how you need to earn things. The last question we're going to touch on, can you make me better? Dad, Mom, can you make me better? I've got a birth defect. It's not going away. And I shared a story many years ago, trying to explain to my family what it was like, because I have caring sisters, I have a caring mom and dad. They really don't have the feel that we have about having a special needs child in their life or person in their life daily. And I said, you know what it's like? It's kind of like you're going to go buy a present for somebody and you get the perfect gift, you nail it. And then you're going to gift wrap it. You know, it's a perfect gift, perfect time. You want it gift wrapped perfectly. Yes, I'll pick it up tomorrow, wrap it up, this color, that color, bow, da da da. You go to pick it up and a different person's there and they go, you know, I don't know what happened, but I was told that you were coming to pick up your gift. Something happened. We're sorry, but here it is. And they hand you a brown paper bag. Well, that can't happen. I need a gift wrapped. I need a pretty bow. I need pretty paper. I need pretty this. Well, I'm sorry. They've all left. I'm the only one here. They just told me to make sure you got your gift. Here's your gift, the gift you bought, brown paper sack. You know, in a way, that's kind of like at times what we felt like we got with Maddie. We got caught up in the brown paper sack. Once you take the brown paper sack off, the gift's still there. And Maddie is a gift. I cannot imagine Maddie any other way. I wouldn't want Maddie any other way after 18 years. Have we made her better? Better is a relative term. I think we've helped her educate herself. We've helped her take care of herself to some degree. It's probably the one area that she's really still struggled with. Excuse me, taking care of herself. And we've tried, we're still trying, we're still working on that one. We hope to transition her off into her own space with Alex, where she can have some independence. We think she'll flourish with more independence. It'll take away any fact of us enabling anything along the way, and she'll have to figure some things out. Give her own space, give her a different space to work and live in. But why do we need to get better for our kids? Basically, we need to be the best parents we can be. We need to be functional family members, not just ourselves, but our kids. And we need to give Maddie every opportunity to do whatever she thinks she can do or wants to try and do as she moves forward. And our dreams aren't her dreams. We let our dreams go a long time. I won't say we gave up. We let them go. We all have dreams for our kids. You know, no, I didn't think Maddie would play in professional baseball. However, you know, you think, well, my daughter will be a doctor. I wonder if she'll be a travel agent. I wonder if she'll be a vet. Well, a lot of those things we just had to push away. What makes Maddie happy is what makes us happy. And as we're navigating this island we're living on right now, it might be the fact that she can live in her own place with Alex, because she's going to have an aide wherever she lives, or support caregiver. She can take the trolley to work. She can take the trolley back. It may be Walgreens, it may be CVS off the island. Maybe it's the 2 locally owned shops on the island. That's like awesome for Maddie. That's like her dream come true. And that's why we need to do everything we can do to help Maddie be the best Maddie that she can be. And we do that by establishing a daily routine that every day she's here. And some days things get changed, and some days we need to pivot. And we all know what can happen when the structure gets pushed aside. That's when the meltdowns come. And we still do have meltdowns. We also went on a 10-day vacation to Colorado, which I didn't know how it was going to end up, but I've learned a long time ago to let my expectations go out the window, because normally when I have expectations, they turn into resentments. And we moved, you know, a big time zone, 3 different places, from a hotel to a home to a cabin. And we actually went through a family challenge along the way, outside our family, that we had to deal with. And Maddie showed up above average, above board. Maddie interacted. Maddie was part of the family. Maddie went to places and saw people she hadn't seen in a long time. And it was great to see people that hadn't seen Maddie in Colorado since about 09 or 10 and see her 10 years later. Oh my gosh. We lose sight of the growth, seeing the day-to-day. But in each one of these places, she saw people that hadn't seen her in different time periods, and they all commented. Fortunately for us, her weight's in a very good place. Her vocabulary's in a good place. She presents herself well at times. She participated in archery class, axe throwing class, if you can believe that. She wouldn't do the laser rifle. Christian and I did, and we went horseback riding. And it goes back to the equine therapy she took many years ago. She could have sat on that horse for 5 hours. I was good with an hour. I needed to get off. Carla the same. Christian and I are afraid of horses, so it was a big test for us, but we wanted to do it for the family. And it's also become amazing to me how much this has been good for me, continuing to find ways to rid myself of ego. There's things I just need to do for the family. There's things I need to do for Maddie. There's things I need to do for Christian. It's not about me. Our kids start to get better when they know we're invested in the fact that we want to help them get better. I really believe that. When we establish boundaries and have a team game plan, they have a chance to flourish and get better. When we're just making stuff up and we're continually trying to be reactive than proactive, that's when we have our worst days with Maddie. I said earlier, there's many fingerprints on success stories, and Maddie has many fingerprints on her so far. There is no doubt that the more consistent that we've been, the more committed we've been with our routines and our scheduling, the better things have gone. There's times when it doesn't work, as you can imagine, in your lives. And there probably are some families on here that aren't hearing anything new for the first time. And if you're not, God bless you. I need to call you and learn some more stuff. We've never dealt with a 19-year-old. That's in front of us, a 20-year-old, a 21. This transition out of the house is going to be, I think, big for all of us. The daily balance within the house. But this has been hello world, ready or not, here I come. And I believe, my opinion only, our kids are gifts. Maddie has forced Carl and I believe, to do some things we never would have done on our own. I believe our relationship is stronger, better, more loving than it ever could have been based on what I could have provided only. We've been forced to lean into one another. We've been forced to love each other unconditionally. There are times when, my wife needs to cry, and I give her those opportunities. There's times where I tear up. I cry at a Hallmark movie. I'm crying at Heartland. The bigger moments, I have had tears with Maddie and some of the challenges. It's okay. Salt water is good for the soul. I believe tears are good for the soul. I believe sweat's good for the soul. Sometimes it's just somebody needs to get outside and take a walk. You need to take a walk together. If you got somebody to watch the child, you need to do some exercise. And I believe ocean water is good for the soul. But we have gotten a place in our relationship where when I married Carla, she married me. We were in love. She's smarter than me. She's only been married once. I've been married 3 times. Another disclaimer, 3 marriages. It took me 3 to get one right. I'm not proud of that. I mentioned earlier, I'm a recovering alcoholic. 22 years sober, 21 years married. If you can do the math, there's no coincidence there either. Having a special needs child brought into a family. And then us having the gumption, you know what, we're going to have another one. We need to have another kid. We need to have another child if we can. And then be blessed with a Christian. We're blessed with Ashley. We're blessed with her presence. She's become an advocate of Maddie. She's become a supporter of Maddie. She's 35. Christian's doing his thing. Maddie's doing hers. But Carl and I have been able to build a relationship that I'm not so sure we would have built on our own without Maddie. I see my wife and the wonderful attributes that she's got and the way she has continually sacrificed for the betterment of all of us. Yes, Maddie, but all of us. It's what she does and the way she does it. It's graceful. It's merciful. It's kind. What better qualities that Maddie has to look at than her mother? In closing, I'm going to share a story with you, true life story. Carla, after Maddie was born, I think Carla grieved right away. It was hard. And that made it hard for me. I had places to go. I had a ballpark, you know. I had this man thing going on where I think I took a day for the diagnosis to set in and not go to a game, you know, and just hold my wife. The first night we were told. Then I think I started going back to work the next day, and then I would come at night back home and hold my wife. Carla, she had the amount of crying she needed to do. She had some emotions she needed to work through. She had feelings she needed to get out, verbalize, share with others. And I had stuff to do, so I kept internalizing things. And it was about 6 weeks down the road of our journey. Team went on a 3 or 4 day road trip to Houston. And quick trip, whatever. I got to my hotel room. It was like an off day. We traveled, and I got there at 8 o'clock at night. I unpacked my bags, called Carla, something, you know, at house, and she was sharing some hard things. And when I got off the phone, for whatever reason, I started crying. It had to be about 9 o'clock at night. It was the first time I really cried about Maddie, about what the situation we're in, and I cried till I went to bed. I woke up in the morning and I cried some more. And by the time I went to the park, I thought I tried to shake it off. But hey, you okay? You don't look right. Pollen, a bunch of lies I buried. I just didn't say no. I was crying all night. Cried all night over, you know, my wife and my daughter, and you know, just cried. Got through the game, got back home, talked to my wife. As soon as I hung up the phone, started crying again. I think I cried for 3 days. A lot of salt water. Didn't really get any answers answered, but when I was going home, I felt lighter. I felt a little better. The fact that I had cried and gotten it out, and I wasn't shaking my fist at God. That's not my guy. I'm not that guy. I have a faith particle, big particle in my life. So does Carla. So our family, that I know God had given many to us for a reason, and I knew we had a role to play. And it was the same as Christian and Ashley, to provide a life for them, to be parents. But it was funny that when I got to the ballpark, I opened the mail. I'd always grab my mail before I went home, check for bills, a lot of autographs being asked for, but there was one letter, just different size, so it didn't fit in the stacks, because I'm kind of weird like that. I put my mail in stacks. This one was different size. So I looked at it. It had no name, no return address. I ripped it open, opened it up. It was a one-page photocopy of a page in a book called The Clowns of God, The Clowns of God by Morris West. And it explains, the story takes to it's basically a monk's synagogue. And there's a part of the synagogue where they are taking care of Down syndrome kids, special needs kids. And one of the monks looks at the Monsignor and says, why would God do this? What is God's idea? Well, this isn't right. God has no clue. And the older monk listens and he goes, I'm not going to speak for God. In the Bible, it says, or in his book, it says, my ways aren't your ways. And it continues to share some scripture and share some analogies. But if I care for the birds and how they show up every day, you don't think I'm going to care for you? And I gave this one a gift that you don't have. It's internal innocence. Basically saying I gave the special need kids a gift you don't have, eternal innocence and internal innocence. Your responsibility. I gave this person to you. This is a gift I'm giving to you. And how you receive this gift and nourish this gift and nurture this gift will speak more about you than anything else for the rest of your life. One page out of a book, no name, no signature, no return address. I couldn't believe it. I got goosebumps. I took it home, showed it to Carla at 2 o'clock in the morning. She read it. We read it together. And it was almost like at that moment, it was a huge pivot for us in another direction on our journey with Maddie. We've been given Maddie for a reason. And the reasons show up every day. And some days are better than others. My encouragement to you is hunt the good. We're going to get to do hard together. Sometimes you got to do hard alone. Hunt the good. Celebrate the small wins. Know that you're not going to do it by yourself. You're not meant to. God doesn't make any junk. And you're not junk. And he's not penalizing you. There's a lesson in here, and it's our opportunity to learn it. And I found out I need to be a lifelong learner. And at 63, I'm still learning about Maddie. I'm still learning about Carla. I'm still learning about Christian. I'm still learning about Ashley. Love is when the other person's happiness is more important than your own. It's a quote that I keep from H. Jackson Brown Jr. Love is when the other person's happiness is more important than your own. I look to bring happiness to Maddie every day, somehow, some way. I look to bring happiness to Carla somehow, some way every day. And the last quote I'm going to share before I sign off, we take some questions. Intense love does not measure. It just gives. My wife wears that one every day. Intense love does not measure. It just gives. And that's from Mother Teresa. So from one flawed father to everybody else that's out there listening, hopefully we got some kids, we got some parents, we got family members. I love you. And I mean it. I don't even know you, but I love you. And I'm there for support. They have my number at Prader-Willi if you want to reach out. My email address is pretty simple. It's clint.hertl@icloud.com. And if you're looking for some encouragement, or you're looking for, if there's a faith particle you're looking at, I send out daily emails. They're for encouragement. And if you'll just Google up clinthertl.com, the rest is easy. It's mail proof. Even I figured out how to do it. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. And God bless y'all. Bye-bye.
Clint, thank you so much for your telling your story. Very heartfelt story, very honest and real. I know we all appreciate that. And before we go to questions, there are a couple comments I wanted to just share that people sent in. Somebody said, I so needed to hear this. Thank you for sharing your story. Another dad said, hearing you, Clint, as a dad and as a leader is refreshing and powerful. Thank you for hitting this out of the park and bringing us the real game plan. So lots of great just comments, Clint. Let me go to a couple of questions. There's a question, what advice would you give a newly diagnosed parent who is being tossed in the depths of their grief? What do you wish you had known at that moment in time?
I wish we'd have known right away that everything was going to be okay, but we didn't. You don't know. I think we all have fear of the unknown. And I think that goes with, we did isolate for a very short period of time, and we were encouraged by others that have gone before us. That is not a good answer. That is not a good game plan. Reach out to people that have walked the walk, that have been in the game, that have had to blaze a trail. We have people on our board that have young adults now. I mean, 30, 35, 40-year-old adults that have seen it all, that we reached out to. Maddie was just born. We reached out to a family that had a 15-year-old. Then we reached out to some other people to get real stories. And that's why the family support, the family outreach group through Prader-Willi syndrome is the first place I would go. Absolute first place I would go. I'd stay off the internet. We've all done enough, sir. I can tell you what sites to go to and what sites not to go to regarding Prader-Willi syndrome, because some of it's junk, it's sterile, it's morbid, it's old, it's not even updated. And there's a lot of encouragement out there that you can tap into. There's a lot of support you can find if you tap into it, but you have to be active. We have to know that you're there and that you're hurt. It's okay to share your hurt. We all felt hurt. Some of us felt violated, I'm sure, and some of them were just angry. That's all okay. You know, it's okay to not be okay with it. But we've got to find a way to move forward past that, because there is an opportunity for some incredible things in front of you.
Great, thank you, Clint. Another question, I'm often reminded how dominant the mom voice is in our community. I know there's a dad's group on Facebook, and I know that you have a session today, which is great. What would you say to dads who are reluctant or feel fearful about engaging?
I mentioned it early on, this isn't about you. And men, we get caught up in us. And I've talked to some men that have, some of them struggle more than, well, I wish I would have had a girl. I mean, that always comes out of men's mouth because they feel violated. Their son has special needs. I think it's a territorial feeling. It's a human feeling. However, it's not a feeling of love. It's not a feeling of, basically, I know Maddie has chipped away at some things I needed to have chipped away. My own emotions, my own feelings, my own preconcept of what a man was. I'm much more vulnerable now than I ever was before. I'm much more open and transparent than I ever was before. It's not about me. Matter of fact, as I said at the end, there's a day in my mind, I know I'm going to be judged. And maybe it's my mom and dad that are judging me. Maybe it's the neighbor down the street. They see how I interact with Maddie on a daily basis. I'm not worried about their judgment. I just know that I have an opportunity to show people this is how it can work. This is what makes it work. This is why it works. And we do put too much of the workload, the heavy lifting for a lot of ways on the wife. I mean, Paige, you're a perfect person though to share some of the other side of the story, and you will in your own time. You're carrying a heavy workload. And I know your husband shows up in a fantastic way. There's many men that do. There's probably more men that don't. And it's something I had to work through. I got to tap out every 2 weeks and go. I mean, and it wasn't because I wanted to, I play it all. Oh, no, I have to. It's my job. I have to go. So who's left holding the responsibilities? Carla's left holding the responsibilities. So are there things I can do when I'm away that help? That's what I would ask her. And what do I need to do now that I'm back to help you most?
Awesome. I think we have time for maybe one more question. So this question is, Clint, what are your proudest moments as a PWS dad?
We had one, a little over 2 weeks ago, watching Maddie walk up the dais and accept her diploma. I mean, it took a village to get us to that point in time, to that peg in time. And then there's times when you look back, it was a blink of an eye. Her first swim meet where she swam in a relay team back in Denver. She was the only special needs child on the swim team. She swam in a relay team. They medaled. And it wasn't the fact it was just the fact that she was participating with another group. some of my proudest moments have come from watching other people support Maddie the way they do. There's a group of, there's the three musketeers, we call, Maddie calls them, the three amigos. There's been three boys she's grown up with through school here on the island. And to watch how these boys turned into young men, teenagers, have continually supported, been there, not bullied, stood up for her. Those moments make you proud. You were at an event not too long ago at our hot stove fundraiser where Maddie opened a present for the first time in her life, a wrap present. We learned early on, you give Maddie a present, she's gonna shake it, she's gonna listen, nothing happens, and she's gonna pick the bow and she's gonna hand it back to you and say, open it. So we got good with the bags and the border paper to pull out. Well, you saw her, she got a package, she opened that package, first time she's opened a package page maybe in her life. And then the conversation she had in front of a group, which is something she'd never done before. I sat back and it was all I could do, just keep my heart in my shirt.
Yes, that was a fantastic moment.
So many people helped in that development for her to do that.